This session is brought to you by the Influence Marketing Platform. The Influence Marketing Platform is so intuitive, you'll swear it was built just for you. So go ahead and learn more about the automation software and get a demo at emarketingplatform.com.
All right, welcome to our panel, Leveling Up in Email. Mike's talk covered a lot of really good points about how the email industry is evolving, and we are really lucky to have awesome panelists that can kind of talk us through both the agency side, in-house, with different levels of experience, to speak about how they got to their points in their careers and where the email industry is going in the future. So just to start, I'd like for all of you just to introduce yourselves and give us a little sense of who you are and what you do.
Hi, I'm Ann Tomlin. I am a freelancer and have my own business called Emails Y'all. I started as a web developer who was forced to do an email and loved it immediately. And I've stayed in it for 9 years.
I'm Matt Helbig. I work full-time at a digital agency called Digitox in Chicago. Before that, I was working at another email agency sending some sketchy emails, so I'm glad I get to work on real legit clients now. And I'm a co-founder of Really Good Emails. I started helping out on the site 3 years ago, and
you guys know me, but my background is I work for Lonely Planet, it's a publishing company. And before that, I was in email with a company called SkincareRx.com, which when we sold it, essentially pushed me out of an email marketing CMO position into another type of director role position. So I'll be kind of talking from a brand perspective, doing brand side, and also a career, like going out of email and what that means and how you type it.
Hi, I'm Margaret Hamner, and I lead the team that does email marketing for MailChimp, so no pressure on anything. And I'm one of the 10 plus people from the chart, so I've been doing this for quite a while, you can probably guess. Before that, I was a direct marketer, so we actually put stamps on things and mailed them out to people, and so when we found a better way, started doing email. I worked with a lot of large corporations, and then most recently before MailChimp, worked with Silvertop, doing management for them, so I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome. So just to get started, I think it's really interesting to talk about just the history and kind of how email has evolved. So I'd like to ask Margaret specifically, like what has changed in the past 5 years in the email landscape, and like what are you most excited about that's like kind of coming to the fore right now specifically?
I would say what's changed the most has been regulation. So I know you're all dealing with privacy legislation, the privacy legislation that's going on. First Castle, I was with a company, I won't name who, a large corporation at the time, who decided to ignore Castle, the Canadian law, if you're not familiar with it, that came in a couple of years ago, and when that hit, we kind of were blindsided because, like I said, I spent 6 months going to conferences and raising my hand and going, this thing's going to hit, it's going to be bad. And, when it did hit, it was bad. So, luckily, for GDPR, I was actually with MailChimp, who had, some previous knowledge and were working with it. I think kind of that view on what we're doing has made it harder. It's provided some opportunity along the way because I think there's an opportunity to do things better than we were doing them, and now we're legislating so everybody's doing them better than they were doing them. And I think what I'm excited about is just going forward. I mean, the same thing is about to hit in the U.S. California's starting it, and it's going to move everywhere else. So just going forward and taking that thing that everybody dreads and hates and turning it into an opportunity.
Anybody else want to give their context specifically, maybe from like the agency side? Matt, do you have any context on how things have changed from your side of the house?
I think our goal, is making email really one-to-one. So really making each email that we're sending really personalized and using that data correctly. I think one of the major goals is to not send too many emails that are irrelevant to someone. So really treating email marketing as a journey and not just a single blast, and making sure it's a relationship. It's been a big goal for ours. Outside of just the creative work that we do and making things, specifically for mobile, is to understand that audience better and see that trend within your list. But really focusing that email is personalized and that it's useful to someone and not just something that a brand wants to send because they don't have anything to send.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting, like specifically on how to get buy-in from your company, your client on moving towards more of like a life cycle holistic view and specifically investing on the email side. Can any of you speak to an instance where you have had to present the case for why you needed to invest either in like a new tool, a new way of doing things, a new team, new people, just a general investment on evolving your email program, like how you went about that? I think people were asking questions earlier about how you make that case to your boss. I think a really specific example would be helpful if anybody has one.
Yeah. So I've done this twice. So in 2007, we moved from an in-house ESP, which developers built themselves, and you'd essentially watch the emails just crawl with every send. It'd take 26 hours to send an email. It was great. We loved it. There was no metric. There weren't any metrics, and so it was actually not that hard to get buy-in because it was like, look how horrible of an experience it is for us as a team versus what we do now. Recently at William Planet, we switched ESPs, and that was mostly back to what you said about personalization and figuring out how we can have that one-to-one relationship. And actually, when you get into it, you can look at, what's your ROI going to be on that investment and how much more of that personalization is going to add in terms of new subscribers, return revenue, loyalty, and you can bake that into essentially your forecast of what you're going to spend on that company and the transition costs. And they never go easy. So anyone who's ever done like an ESP transition, you get like these guys and they're like, yeah, we'll get that done in like 3 months. And then like a year later, you're like bald and. But it's kind of just the way that email is going to progress. You're going to always be transitioning from one tool to another because I think there are going to be new people fighting the incumbents to make a better experience.
I'm my own boss, so I really got to get quiet.
How specifically for like your clients? I'm curious like how you present the case for making an investment that might seem really high for something.
I have definitely suggested certain ESPs based on what I think that my clients are most likely to need, and that usually goes quite well.
I think on the agency side, at least, when we're working with the third-party vendors or something like that, clients see something in the wild and they're saying, like, how do we, do this? And it's really our job to figure out, how to work with those vendors and make something a reality. If it's like time or money, usually it's just like, how do we execute and, kind of replicate something that we see, or if there's an idea, like, how do we actually make it happen and finding the right resources to actually make that execution.
I don't have any choice of vendors.
Awesome. So moving into this kind of career landscape, what's changing specifically with email marketing as a job? And I know, talking to people before the session started, the words marketing automation are thrown out, like email designer. There are all these kind of words. Where are the places where people should focus to make sure that they have like the skills to be effective over the next 5-10 years? Like, what are some of those things that are changing? I think to Mike's point, focusing on value and measurement and knowing these tools and how to get the results out. What would you give? What kind of advice would you give to somebody that's in that 1 to 3 year beginning phase of their career to make sure they're paying attention to?
I would say the first piece of advice I would give is to make sure you're balanced. It is very important for people who are doing email marketing, if you haven't figured it out yet, to know the analytical side of things as well as the design and creative side of things. Now, I have people who do the design. We have a design team, of course, who does design. We have a content team who does content. But I like for the people on my team to at least know enough about that to know when they see something that's not right. We're the last person who sees the email. If we see something wrong with design or something wrong with creative, then it's up to us to stop it and say this is not what we want to be showing to our customers. On the analytical side, as far as being able to prove, to keep proving to your company that that's, you know, that you're doing the right thing, and that you're making money from them with this channel. I mean, it can be a very lucrative channel, of course. So, to make sure that you understand and that your whole team understands exactly how to make those analysis, you know, the analysis go. I always require that if somebody comes on my team and they don't know Excel yet, that they learn it very quickly. So.
Yeah, so when I was doing email at the very beginning, one of the things that happened was I was placed into a marketing position where I had come on as an SEO and PPC guy, and they said, oh, you're just going to do email too as part of this. Which is, I think, a normal progression from a lot of digital marketing professionals. They just get thrown email because that's the one person that might know understand how to do it. The bad thing is because we were so successful with email that I got pigeonholed. So all the SEO, PPC, the breadth that I had touching all the digital marketing stuff actually ended up going to my colleagues because I was the email guy now. And that is why I actually went and got my MBA to get out of email and still use email today, and I still hire and do things with email in our London team and Emily Plan. But that was my whole progression to kind of get out of email. And I think if I am hiring people today, it's mostly focused on do you have a broad skill set that doesn't just work in email, but you could be applied to other parts of the business, social media, understand our language, our branding, all that kind of stuff. So you can come up with ideas as you work with the operations team or the merchandise team to really understand what are new products that are coming in, and not just a person who's clicking buttons, moving things around. That's my perspective.
Yeah, I'm purely an email developer, so I'm proof that you can specialize very deeply into one particular field. And the advice I have is get really good at best practices. Know your best practices, because your clients are going to rely on you to both not only put those best practices into your code, but also to guide them. And what's possible versus what's a good idea for your particular circumstance.
Yeah, I know in the agency world, it's specialization key is definitely important. I know, like in our company, like being a master of your capability and being able to someone really to rely on you. When someone asks your opinion, you should be the expert in your field on that specific topic. And when you in the agency, when you're creating, say, 600 emails a year, the team of one is no longer sustainable. So really having a team of people that will support you and be experts in what they're doing, if that's an AM or PM or a design team or developer, each that specialization is key when you're running at that speed of pace. And then having a team that can shrink or expand depending on workload or something like that is important when you are at that higher level of email production or strategy centers.
So Mike, specifically, on the metric side, you were talking about kind of moving past opens and clicks, and I love that too. I'm curious what your North Star is at Lonely Planet and what guided that thinking and how you kind of focus on those metrics.
So that's still a struggle I'm dealing with. So because of my role, I don't have the ability to dictate the ESP we're with or the employees that work on that. I can hire more employees to help us. So when I look at our program, I think, man, there's so many parts of this website that is just ripe for the picking and personalization. If you click on something, we can link that back to a profile. If you came in through social, we should be able to essentially pull that into your profile. And become more profile-based is what I'm looking at for Lonely Planet. So essentially, if you come into the site, you're going to just be, any kind of content. If you're New York Times or whatever, you read an article, that's going to segment you automatically into a category, and then from that category, become really smart in what we recommend for your next email, and becoming way more automated than what we do currently, which is Sunday night is an editorial practice to go through and pick out the best content of the week, write the emails, and then blast it out to everybody. And if you're an adventure backpacker or a family traveler, you're in two different categories of traveler. And so the email's not going to resonate with you. And that's kind of our North Star, is going through that process right now, finding vendors that can do that for us. So we just we overhauled our CMS, and going back to Drupal, which is kind of strange. We got Drupal. It's still alive? But don't do it! What are you doing? Yeah, there's a lot of people like, what are you doing? But I don't have the right to be like, we're not doing that. That's the CTO's job, right? So I have to kind of just move with him to understand what they're doing, and then my position, looking at the metrics, because I'm in charge of business development and business metrics. So really tying how many cents they're doing to ROI, to subscription lists, all that kind of stuff, to make sure that what they're implementing is actually driving growth.
Can you give us a sense for how you view that, Margaret, and MailChimp? I'm curious, like, which metrics you really focus on?
We do the usual metrics, just like, the open rates and just check the subject lines and that kind of thing. But one of my favorite things to do that I kind of brought in when I came was to look at the feedback loop. So, it's softer, it's not really a count, but we don't do any do not reply to this email address. And I strongly recommend against the do not reply email address. Because you wouldn't believe if you just take some time and look through those replies that you get back, you get a lot of great feedback about what you're doing wrong and right. It's a little biased sometimes, because there's more wrong than right. Usually someone takes the time to reply to your emails. But you find out some things about your business that you didn't know. So that actually provides really good feedback. The other thing is unsubscribe reasons. So I think most of the ESPs, I know MailChimp has it, I'm not sure, I think most of the ESPs do have, when you check your reason for unsubscribing, that you can write something in. Those write-in reasons are some of the most fascinating information that you'll ever have. So it's not just the hard measures, which we do, but some of those softer things where you can go in, if you just pay attention to the data you're already bringing in and find out about some things about your business.
I think it's definitely hard to speak on North Star of like some of our clients. But definitely on the agency side, showing our ROI, because working with an agency usually isn't cheap. You hire them because you're pretty serious about what you want to do. So it definitely costs a lot of money for us to make an email for you. But definitely showing our ROI and how we can make an email make more money for our clients. And that comes to creative design, but also segmentation. Also, making sure the message is valuable, actionable. It's like farming goals. And then let's just say how another way that, in addition to the feedback that we get, is looking on social media. Like a lot of the emails that we end up being like screen cap and share online. So the brands that we work with, when we send an email, people are really engaged with it. And how looking at that feedback online and making those experiences as surprising to delight people on a more regular basis is another goal for us.
My North Star is always to have renderings be as best as they possibly can. And one of the things I first ask my clients is, do you know the makeup of your audience? And what kind of clients and that they're using, because I'm going to focus mostly on that. Actually, whenever they usually tell me that it's an iPhone, I can celebrate a little bit. It's like, yeah, we can do fun stuff.
Awesome. All right, moving into unpopular opinions time. Does anybody have a burning unpopular opinion either on email careers specifically, or email trends in design, in tools, or I know Mike probably has a couple. Hopefully, you won't offend anybody. Generally, what would you guys disagree with? Because I think the click to open thing is a great example. Everybody says focus on clicks to opens, click-throughs and open rates, but that's not what really matters. How would you tell people, or how would you help people see things differently and focus on the actual meat of email and good marketing?
I hate list size.
Yeah.
Yes.
From the CEO's mouth is how big is our list, and even sponsors will ask us how big is your list, and I want to change that to how engaged is your list, how active is your list. You give me a number that's active, that are actually opening every single day or every single time you send. But it's a metric that's been set by probably advertisers at some point, and it's another vanity metric that doesn't mean anything, and actually it can, if that's the one metric that you're going towards as a goal, it'll cost you more money because you're going to be churning through customers and you're going to be burning money on growth and then paying your ESP usually by the number of sends you do based on your list size. So you can decrease all the inactive people, save yourself some money, and have more engaged readers. So I don't preach, but list size is like my biggest irk that I hear all the time still.
I think my pet peeve is the idea that personalization is putting your first name in the subject. Especially when your first name's Ron. So personalization without data cleanliness, big pet peeve. You know, the idea that that's a, you know, when people talk about personalization is more, you know, does this segment want this content? And whether you can do it with, you know, a fancy, you know, way to float the content in or not, you know, looking at the segment and realizing that that's what they want to hear is personalization, not hi Margaret or hi Mary, which is, you know, what I get half the time.
I'm actually gonna speak for Matthew Smith, because he's not here. He would say email accessibility is like a major focus, and it's not okay for businesses to send all of the Gmails anymore. So really taking the time and consideration when you're thinking about audiences and who's getting your emails to move away from that process and focus on email accessibility and making sure that email is available everywhere.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, accessibility, not one big image emails. Those are absolutely necessary these days that do that. And all text is not going to really do it either. You need to, if you have an all image email and you have just all text, that's better than nothing, but you really need to use live text. It's extremely important that your audience gets your message, even if they have your images turned off.
All great points. Specifically the list size, I hear that so much. It's so prevalent in the industry. So what do you guys predict is going to happen in the next 5 years? Like, you know, we're talking about blockchain and personalization and all these things. Like, what's actually going to happen? And like, what are you most excited about? Matt, go for it.
I would say personalization piece is my prediction. I think like people say that they do personalization, but if it comes down to first name, that's really not personalization. And if you're not segmenting your list, that's not really personalization. So I think like 10% of email marketers are doing that correctly. So I think in the next 5 to 10 years, that should be the big focus of really nailing those basics before you guys try to like do something fancy or move on to like the next best thing. It's really understanding the messages that you're sending to your customers or subscribers and getting those basics down.
I hope is where we're going, that things will get more and more targeted. We've gone a long way from just sending out everything to everybody, but you know, the targeting to increase, where the tools are getting better to increase the targeting, there's no reason not to do it. So to make things more relevant so people don't dread opening their inbox every morning and see what's there.
I got 2 things where I feel like there's a bigger push from brands to become a human. And so how they portray that is going to show through, not only through email, but through other marketing channels, which I'm really excited about because I think your relationship with email is going to become even stronger. You know, it's just a couple of years ago that The Hustle started, and they have over 1 million subscribers now. There's some of this to talk about how they're able to grab that kind of gathering and that audience just because they're real and the way that they write. And they don't really even have a product. It's just they report the news. Same with the Skin and other people. One thing that on the technical side, which has to be lined up if you had to cancel last minute, there's a company called Crystal. I don't know if you guys heard about Crystal, but it allows you to see the demographic psychometrics of your recipient and tailor your message to that recipient so that they are more likely to engage with it. And it uses all the data that is accumulated from like LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and everything you said to kind of build a profile based on a lot of Harvard research. And so it can rewrite your email for you in certain ways and avoid words that would not really resonate with the recipient, and then essentially dynamically put in words that would to help click through rate and a couple other things. So, like, Phrasey does that from a subject line perspective to some people, and this is kind of the next step of doing images and text and a few other things, and I think that's a really cool future thing to do.
I'd say two things. In the clients that I have, we're definitely moving towards making modular design even bigger. So modular systems is something that I specialize in. So I see a lot of people requesting that you create a modular system so that they can, create emails themselves and not completely rely on a developer.
So before we move into Q&A from the audience, I'm just curious, like, who do you guys look to for inspiration? Either like an individual, like a really great marketer, or a brand. And can you give a specific example of something that they've done that really inspired you and took your work to the next level?
Mark Robbins. He's the father of interactive email, and it's everything that he's ever done has been just mind-blowingly awesome. I'm sure some people have actually seen the talk he gave that was actually his slides were an email, and that's like I said, mind-blowing, and it definitely got me to be in interactive email. Every time that I create an email, I try to do even just small interactive things, such as header statements.
Keep that really quick. I think all the emails on our site. I like the idea. I think one of the things we'll maybe cover tomorrow, Matthew will, is that verticals shouldn't compare each other to other verticals. Is that even if you see a brand doing something really cool and you're like, well, that might not be the best. We can't do that because our brand is B2B, or we can only send plain text emails. We're thinking about like maybe that might be true now, but how can we take something some other brand did that we saw in the wild and maybe try to apply that to our brand, or at least think about it. Makes me inspired. Is that you go?
Okay, so I don't want to kiss up to the sponsors here, but do y'all read the weekly thing from Litmus? Because
Yes.
Litmus's weekly newsletter is like the best thing you've ever got. So yeah, I take a lot of, especially because they go into the HTML and that kind of thing, so I like actually nudge everybody around me to read the Litmus email every week.
There's also Type E, which gets a lot into accessibility. One of the ones I love to read to see how to bring that forward, and he really just brings it into the email. This is how you code it, this is what it does. So it's very educational. And then I don't want to go into the AMP stuff that's happening right now. But I would say the Nest, for the reason of being able to buy products, add it to your cart, all within email, is a very cool idea and concept that I really look forward to, and how we're going to build our site around that kind of stuff, but it'll happen soon.
Awesome. So yeah, let's open it up. Questions specifically on career or just email in the industry generally? Yep.
Okay. My question is, what percentage of email, maybe specifically for MailChimp, but is being triggered by the customer versus triggered by the marketer?
And so I don't think I understand the question.
Like, what's the distribution of email at the moment that's being triggered by the customer
Triggered by the subscription.
versus designed and triggered by the marketer or the marketing team?
So explain to me the trigger by the customer part. It's like, because we send out a lot of emails, but the trigger by the customer, do you mean like they subscribe into something and start getting an
Maybe some
automation?
sort of like JavaScript-based event, or
I think you're saying like how many like individual sends where it's like email blasts from marketer versus like automated based on behavior.
yeah.
We do a good bit of automation just because, because it's the right thing to do and to show off our tool to people getting to things, right? But yeah, so we do an onboarding email when they get there. So that's, I mean, I consider that triggered because the behavior is you join MailChimp and then you get a welcome and then you get, a certain amount of onboarding that comes to you until you tell us to stop, basically. It tells you how to use, which people do, but it tells you how to use the tool. Beyond that, to tell you the truth, we're getting into some nurture. So we've got a very large list. I'm running a 14 million person list on MailChimp. So that's an interesting thing to do. MailChimp is built for smaller customers, but it works. We do 14 million, and we do have some larger customers, which is a handful that do that. So we're having to work to build these special things to get nurtures done because of the size of the list. But we are trying to get more towards that. I would say right now, like I said, that onboarding and welcome does go to people as from something they've done. But right now, most everything else is a push from us. I'm not proud, but it's okay.
So from a brand perspective, what I see is the ROI is much higher from a trigger than from a push. And so that's why I'm trying to push my team to just do everything automated and supplement with pushes here and there when it's necessary, like a new launch of a product or whatever. But the more automated is actually less hands-on and better results. And so that's from a brand perspective, that's what I'd like to see.
Speaking off that, I guess real quick is, I think, triggers can make you the most money, but they can get also the least attention. So, maybe revisiting a welcome series every few months. If you're really seeing drop off or an email that might be relevant 3 weeks ago, maybe it's no longer relevant when you're having product updates and now your thing is totally different. So keeping those up to date and managing your triggers.
I wanted to refer back to the comment where you talked about all image emails. So I have a client where I manage the B2B side, and on the B2C side, they have these all image emails. And I can show metrics about clicks and opens and purchases on my side, but on their side, they want me to help them find clicks and purchases, but it's one image. So do you have data to prove that, trying to convince them to switch from this all image email? Because you see the text gets blurry, it's not mobile friendly, it's not responsive, it disappears when the scale gets smaller. Do you have data around that so I can say, here guys, it's not working? Or is it working? Either way.
Yeah, I don't have specific data, but the way to combat that is to show the higher ups exactly what your email looks like without images turned on. And it's just a gray box. And I mean, you can do so much more, even if they require you to do a one image email, you can at least put in some extra stuff, to like a background color or some style alt text, something that at least does a little more. But yeah, it's just it's just one big blank box or a series of blank boxes. I usually get some questions.
I would also say let the data speak for itself. Like do a test where you have just image and then not, and show them the difference in click-through or conversion. Yeah. Yes.
Do you believe that the future state of email should be more and more about automation? And as an email marketer, how should we balance automation and creativity?
I'm very vocal about automation because I think it's, I like systems, so that's what my brain thinks. So it's very logical. If someone does X, this is what they get, Y. And then you can bring in other things into that to influence how they get that. I've seen a little bit of the Sensei product that Adobe has been building on AI in terms of building emails off of AI. There's a long way to go in making that a good experience. And that to me means what would be a role for email in that world. And there's always going to be a human element to training machine learning or to understanding what design does. So, I mean, we try to focus a lot on different emails that show up across the board, really good emails, because of their diversity, right? A really good email to us is not an email that looks like everything else. And so I think from a design perspective, there's always going to play a bigger role in how to understand how do you be a little more edgy, or how do you convey a message clearly that maybe AI is not figuring out or is doing similar to everyone else. But automation, like you said, you have to keep on going back, take a look at your triggers, making sure that things are always up to date and on brand. That's not correct.
I almost think you can be more creative with triggers. So promotional email, say there's a sale, you're sending that information, you have no information about the customer, maybe they have recent purchases you can pull in or target them specifically. With a triggered email, you have so much more information leading up to that send. You could personalize the email with and making sure that you're showing them relevant information.
In the back.
You mentioned you try to add interactivity to emails. As a team, we love it and we always try to do it. But I was wondering if you have any data to back up whether, for example, a hover effect on the bottom does increase click-through on the email clients that supported.
I don't have any data, but just from experience, yeah, I mean, it's usually a surprise and delight of thing of bringing extra kind of, oh, hey, that's cool, to it that gets people more engaged.
So Anna actually contracted for my company, and they have seen an increase.
Do you have like a percentage lift or something?
It's not one of my specific
Okay.
brands, but they have come to me and been like, thank you so much for bringing this in, because our engagement has gone up in everything she's done.
Cool.
So.
Teamwork.
Yeah, I don't think that's another bad part about really good emails is we don't get a lot of those metrics. So even though if you see something really cool, it's hard to really show the ROI on some of that stuff. But I think anything that sort of makes someone take a second glance at your email when they are looking into their inbox, if it's a GIF or it's a hover effect or something like that, catching their attention and bringing them into the email definitely boosts engagement, or at least having them pay attention to your brand just a little bit more.
One way I look at that is companies that have done that, and if they continue to do that. So, for example, we talked about Nest. Nest put all their eggs in their basket in interactivity for their Black Friday and Cyber Monday, which if it didn't work well last year, they would not have done it again. So it definitely had some impact on the ability for people to either purchase or get to their site or do something that they were measuring to move forward. And there's a lot of time that goes into it, which means there's a lot of resources. How do you deploy that? So you have to be kind of more strategic on how you do interactivity. But I think based on the history and looking at what other companies are doing, they wouldn't continue doing it if it wasn't profitable for the business.
Do you guys see email roles becoming more granular as time goes on and more specialized as time goes on as the need arrives for people to become more?
I don't necessarily see a trend in it because I've been with companies that do both things. And I kind of have mixed emotions about whether they should be granular or not, because I think it's, especially with younger people coming in and doing email marketing, I think it's a great experience for them to get to see everything and get to know how to do everything. The bigger the company, of course, the less they do. So I think it's more size of company, but not necessarily a trend over time that I'm seeing.
So we're based in Nashville for the headquarters of Lonely Planet, and so is Emma and Campaign Monitor, and we actually hire a lot of ex-Emma Campaign Monitor developers to come work for us. And one of the things that they like is that they are less granular, doing just deliverability or just part of development or just writing, and now they have the breadth of things that they can touch. And it makes their job a lot more fascinating to them. And I think it depends on who you are. If you want to be just dedicated and you want to be like, I'm going to be the expert at deliverability. Like a couple of years ago, I was like, I'm going to be the expert on CTA buttons in emails, which was just stupid. So that did not give me any press or anything. So I think you just have to kind of weigh your options and see where you're going to go.
From the agency perspective, I think how it's built is always going to have to be maybe granular. But I don't think, someone else talked about this previous conference, and it always stuck with me about like, one person can't do everything well. So there's going to be some part of something that's going to fall off. So I think to reach that upper level of email marketing, I think email marketing too is one of those things that can be as simple or as complex as you want it to be. So if one person is doing it, they can only do so much with those timelines and deadlines that they might have.
Yeah, I definitely made a career out of being super granular. And there's always a good way, or you can definitely get a lot of work doing the work that nobody else wants to do.
Yes.
Yeah, so the fact that email is very hard, to code, I can gladly make your email for you. I enjoy it, I think it's great. So, but the fact that nobody else wants to do it also is very, yeah, useful.
So it's gonna be weird.
Yeah.
How far away do you think we are from it generally being accepted or liable to move away from inline CSS to embedded CSS? Because right now it's kind of like
Once Outlook gets on board.
When's that happening?
Yeah, a long time from now, probably. They, continue to have Word as their rendering engine, and until they change that, inlining is here to stay.
Yeah.
Okay, what are some of the most significant or surprising findings you guys have seen in your career in doing email A/B tests?
Little smile there, right?
Well, she had me tell like A/B tests, and then I was like, one of the most surprising things that I've seen are oops emails. I love them. So I'm going to be making mistakes left and right because the next email that gets sent out, or even the oops email that gets sent out, usually sees a massive spike in not just opens, but and clicks, right? Because I'm focused on clicks to make sure that people come back to really good emails. And when I was at the beauty company, we actually scheduled oops emails. No, we actually did. Where it was like, oh, you may not have been able to check out because the site was slow. It was a really, really bad tactic. But they performed really well, so my bosses were really happy. And so you kind of go across the line of, this is a little bit of a confessional. But from an A/B perspective, we do a good amount of A/B testing in terms of like subject lines and stuff like that. And it really just depends on the brand. Like we talked about this before. I could put just a poop emoji in the subject line and nothing else, and that will perform just as well as something else compared against it. And I think if you have a really good relationship with your reader, they're going to open and engage in the way that you want them to, anyways. Now there might be offers that are better for that individual based on from a brand and consumer perspective, or there might be content that's better from an A/B perspective. But I think that's just kind of getting into the weeds and figuring it out.
Could you try the poop emoji?
Yeah, we tried like emoji. It was like 2 years ago. I don't know if we got it.
Bring it back.
It's okay for some brands, not for others.
Right.
I guess one note for the agency, I feel like it definitely is hard to get everyone in the room to approve like one thing. And ask them to approve lots of things is also really hard. And to that too, I think going into testing, it is it opened my eyes at least to see that content length, subject line. There's a lot of different ways you can do A/B testing, and it's not just like subject lines.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things you can try out, and if there's a new thing that you are unsure about, offering someone to do an A/B test and seeing it perform as well, it's a good way to get behind it.
Time for one more. All right.
So it seems like some of the tools these days are adding other channels, like push notifications and in-app pop-ups or in-website pop-ups. Is that going to be email marketers' responsibility in the future? Or is that a new person in the team?
So on the agency side, I've done email, direct mail, and SMS marketing, and keeping that message going all across that, or using like email marketing to reach a large audience, and then anyone that opened that email or engaged with that email, send them a direct mail piece or an SMS. So I definitely think it should be part of a marketer's tool bag. This is the tools that we have, and maybe email marketing isn't the right channel for this individual consumer. So how can we contact through DM or SMS or something else, or in-app notifications? So I think as an email marketer, even though we're invested in this, like it's not always the right channel for the consumer.
At Lily Planet, they do based on vertical. So if you were working on the app, you're going to have a digital marketing person assigned to the app to let you know what communication is going around with the global company. And so the apps team, it's their responsibility to do those push notifications. We don't do SMS, but that's something we're looking into, and that would probably fall more on the email side because it's more one-to-one relationship and not necessarily, it's more triggered in that sense. But I think, Margaret, with landing pages, all sorts of stuff that tools come out with, they want a bigger share of whatever you're doing in marketing. And so the person who understands that platform really well is probably the best in the position to expand their skill set to do other things within that platform and really shine and show, hey, we adopted this, it was really easy, and now we're getting X, and would help your career.
I want to tell you, from my team, now that we're adding landing pages and all the different things that MailChimp's adding in, I insist that those come to the email team. In fact, I'm trying to rename us the direct marketing team instead, because I don't know how you guys are about your ESP account, but I don't want other people digging around my ESP account. So, right, so it's like, so to keep everybody else out of it, I want my team to do it. So it comes down to logistics sometimes.
Cool. Thanks for our panelists. That was awesome.